We did it. We are selling ammo. NazoAmmo.com. We teamed up. Keystone Munitions, quality, premium product. We're selling it online. What do? You go to NazoAmmo.com. First thing that pops up, what's this? It's an email list. What's the email list do? It's going to give you access to promo codes. It's going to give you access to events, t-shirts, apparel, everything we're doing. Get on that email list. You want 45? 45's not on the website, but then it's coming in. You're ahead of the curve. You're ahead of the guy who's just finding out about it. You're a part of the family. Very fast and furious how we do everything around here. Nazo Ammo. We are moving Keystone Munitions. Premium products. We're doing it. You want to pick up? You don't want to have it sent? You're Carl. You live down the road? Pick up Nazo at the promo code at the end. Now you're picking up ammo here. We're doing it, man. We are doing it. Nazo Ammo. www.nazoammo.com. Small town, big ammo. Finishers MMA, finishersmma.com, @finishers. That's how you find them on social media. These guys have a show with us every Monday called Now We Go. You can check it out. Zach, JM, Thor, Grace, there's too many to name that come out of that school, and they are killers in the game. They are the biggest MMA jiu-jitsu school in the area, and they are owning the East Coast. You can contact them at 610-438-0746. Ask for Andrew. They are at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. They have 2 locations as of now, Bethlehem and Allentown. They are growing into 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say they are taking over, but they already have. Check them out on all of their social media. They are awesome to follow. And if you're looking to get in shape, you're looking to choke people, you're looking to do anything at all to better your life, finishersmma.com. AllValleyRooter.net. That's not how you pronounce it all the time. I just say it that way. All Valley Rooter, Jared LaBarba. He is my plumber. He's the show's plumber. I'm getting him plumbing business all over, and I love that he is getting what he wants. He has 24-hour emergency service. He is certified, insured, and professional. You can follow him at All Valley Rooter. He's on social media, and you can find his information at allvalleyrooter.net. Jared came down over the weekend and he fixed a problem down here. He's super professional. I love him as a person. I love his business. He grew it and he's doing his own thing. It's allvalleyrooter.net. It's 24-hour professional plumbing services. He can help you out with everything you need. It's 610-762-1656. He's certified, insured, and professional. Do not be afraid to contact him for any of your plumbing needs. Support Jared. Jared supports us. Rips Auto Detail. This guy is the best, hands down, in the area. I've interviewed him. I know his story. He's doing things that others aren't, and I love that he fucks with the show. I love getting the best of the best and having them support and be a part of this. That's what the sponsorship is for. I'm giving you the best people in their profession, and Rips is the best at auto detail. It's at Rips Auto Detail for Instagram. You follow that. He's showing you the different cars he does, and it's at 630 North Nelson Street in Allentown, PA. He offers paint correction, ceramic, SPS coatings, and more. This is appointment only, and it's ripsautodetail@gmail.com. You can call him at 484-553-1366. I tell you, follow him. If you don't know, you want to know more about what he does, follow him on Instagram. Follow Rips Auto Detail, and you can see all the things that Rip does. He's a big part of the show. We have a separate show we do called Road Dogs, and you can check out his past interviews and hear his whole story. I couldn't recommend this guy more for your auto, car, boat, plane. This guy literally has done everything, and he is the best in the area doing this. Rips Auto Detail. 212. Sound is good. I have no clue what episode this is. Welcome to Never Again Radio, my friend. How are you? Welcome back to where it all started, the lovely town of Nazareth. The last time I saw you, you were doing Nacho Mountain with my friends, Mitch, Jer, Matt, and all them. That's when we first met. I don't even know if you remember me back then, because it was like 12 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, I fondly remember you.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, of course I do, man.
Yeah.
That was a great time, man.
How did you get hooked up with those guys?
At the time, I was auditioning for anything I possibly could, and I think Mitch put a a casting notice out.
Yeah.
And I drove I think I drove like 2 hours and 20 minutes to get to the audition. I think it was at a bar somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
that was so long ago, and I forget that like they did that. Like it was a legit thing where they did a casting call and everything.
I used to love that shit. That's indie film, dude. It's like, it's just like a blue collar kind of grit feel to things, and I'm from that world, and it just felt right, and I don't need to be in a casting office and all nice and pretty, you know what I mean? So I got to the bar, and Mitch was there, and they just gave me this scene to do, and I just winged it, man. We just had a ball, and they were cracking up pretty good, and he was letting me improv, and that was that. Just had fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How the hell do you get into acting? I know, which is what's impressive about this is seeing from when all this time to following your career and what you're doing now, but like, where did all this start with you even wanting to get into acting? Was this something that you chose to do? Was it something you just kind of started fucking around with? Like, what made you get into it at all?
God, it was something was there. Something was in me when I was young. I didn't know what it was. It's beyond just like, imitating someone or anything like that. It was like this. It was just this this innate feeling, this innate like empathy for certain people. That I could feel certain things, and I could bring certain things out in myself, and it wasn't so much about putting on a performance as it was just getting something out. I couldn't understand. I couldn't fucking understand what it was. I had no clue, and it took me years to figure it out. So I had a bit of a reckless teenage, life and
The fun stuff.
Yeah, and early adulthood and whatnot. And I was kind of feeling my oats and trying this, trying that, and I joined the Army National Guard when I was still a senior in high school, and then I went to boot camp, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a soldier. And then I came out and went to criminal justice, Brookdale College. I'm like, oh, I want to be a cop, and I want to be this. I wasn't flighty. It wasn't like that. I wasn't like a flighty kid. I was just searching. I was searching. I couldn't put my thumb on it. And I ended up going to an acting class once on a whim. My friend brought it up to me, and I always thought about it. I just didn't know. I didn't come from that world. I didn't know actors. I didn't know.
Yeah, because you didn't do drama or anything in high school?
No, I didn't. And we had a drama club too, and I didn't do it. I remember going to a play in high school, and they were like singing. I'm like, I don't want to fucking sing.
I was the same way.
Yeah, and nothing against it.
No, not at all.
It just wasn't me, And there was something about when I went to this acting class. It was like this. I was much more at ease with the intimacy of it when there wasn't a performance. When there wasn't, I didn't have to be loud. I didn't have to sing. It was just, letting out whatever was in me. So I went to the acting class, and that was it. Something just came out, and I'll never forget. I kept going. I was like, this is it. I was like, I think this is it. And I told my old man, my mom was like, I think I'm going to be an actor. They're like, what? You want to be what? And I just kept going through with it. And then this great acting teacher, my first teacher, Glenn Vincent, who's actually in Maywood, New Jersey. After a certain period of time going there, it wasn't very long, he said after class, he looked at me, he's like, you got something. And I might start crying about that shit. And I'll never forget that moment, because it was the first time I felt like special.
Yeah.
I was always good at things. I was never great at anything. And for someone to say like, you got something to me, dude, it was just like the fire came out. And that was a wrap. That was it. I was just like.
Do you think it was you were? Do you think you were trying to search for a way to be creative, and you couldn't kind of get your creative itch out, and then when you're able to act, it kind of let you take these things out of your head and put it on screen or whatever, and then kind of see this creativity? Was it you kind of searching for that kind of like thing where you wanted to feel like you were really good at something, and everything else was just kind of?
It was that
normal.
Yeah. It was like a personal thing that I wanted to achieve as well. But it was that was the thing. Like I just wanted to feel. I wanted to experience everything. I wanted to feel everything. I wanted to go fucking apeshit. I wanted to cry. I just had. And how do you explain that?
Yeah.
How do I say this? I'm like, I want to have. I I want to go through the most extreme situations possible in life that my life won't allow me to do. That's what I wanted to do.
What a beautifully put, though, after figuring it out.
Yeah, I never said that before. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know what I just said.
No, I mean, it makes total sense.
That's what it was. I can't explain it to this day. I don't know why. I don't know if anyone can, but I don't do it for the big premieres. I don't do it for the, dressing all nice and all that stuff, which is cool. There's a cool part to the business aside from the grind of it. But I never did it for that. I don't care about my name up in lights. I don't care about that. I care about being in something that moves people. And I want to move people. I want to affect people. And that's it. That's the goal, Because I'm a movie fan at heart. My life, I just lived in anger for a long time. And my release was, throwing on a movie. And I understand, I know what it's like to be that guy or that girl to come home and put the TV on and be able to laugh or be able to be moved by something. It's an escape. And I'm like, oh man, I could be in that position to give that to someone,
Oh, what a cool perspective.
Yeah.
So now you have this talk with this guy and you have these goals, and I'm sure there's a million ideas going around. So where do you even start looking to get into an acting career? Because I'm sure you were working at the time.
I was, yeah.
So, I mean, now you got to tackle, okay, well, I got to do my 9 to 5. I got to pay my bills. I have real life. But then I also have this passion that I want to go after. And then you're kind of like tied between both and you don't know which one to pull a little bit harder than the other. So when does it start pulling towards the acting more than it is the 9 to 5?
Well, the financials have a lot to do with that, man.
Yep.
It's yeah, right? It's like adjusting your life and, you could be making, because I did construction with my old man. Growing up, I was born with work boots on. It's, that's all I know. So you get used to having a paycheck every Friday, yada, yada, all that stuff. And then you become an actor and it's like the business itself doesn't make sense. It doesn't go like that. It's not a business where it's like the harder you work, the better you do. There's no formula to things. So there's a transition period that you ultimately hit when you start making enough income from acting, which is usually a lot less than people think, man. Because, people got hands and stuff, you know what I mean? It's your manager and this one, taxes and all that shit, And it also depends on the project. If you're doing studio stuff have a lot of money, they pay you well. If you're doing independent films, if there's not a lot of money for the budget, then you're getting paid what you're going to get paid. And it's like, do you want to work or not? So there's usually a transition period, not to be long-winded about it, but
no, you're fine.
You find that moment where like, all right, when can I stop swinging a hammer? When can I stop painting? I was painting houses out in Los Angeles when I was there. And there was that transition. And that transition meant focusing being an actor, and then it's just enough money to live. You pay your bills, you're paying your rent, you this and that, whatnot. You're not going out to eat, but you're living the life you want to live. So it's not worth complaining about.
No.
Right? It's that transition.
And we talked about that on the phone where I was like, that's such an important part as to when you get there because, when I started doing this years ago, everyone would be like, dude, you're going to do this and that. And I get like it's your friends having the best vision impossible for you.
Yeah.
But I kept it realistic the entire time. And I was like, I want to get by.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I want to pay my bills doing the things I love.
Yeah.
And then if I can get to that point, I'm happy. And anything after that is a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a weird time to be in that area because it's like, you're like, this is weird. And I feel like that's the times when people are like, remember when it started because it's like a very raw emotional time. There's growing pains. You change. Like it's not an easy time, but it's a very fulfilling time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that step is a big one. And it's you really just got to bet on yourself and go for it at one point. You're like, you're doing it for so long. It's like, I got to take that step.
Yeah. What was it like for you to step away finally from the 9 to 5 and be like, okay, fuck it. Like, I'm now an actor. This is what I do. I'm not swinging a hammer. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, like what you said, you have to put all the chips on you and you have to believe in yourself and you have to step forward.
My wife had a lot to do with that because I just have such a hustle in me, man. Just growing up with, my old man who had his own business for so long, and I know what he did to achieve what he achieved and to make, you know, and to provide for the family, the grind, you know, the work. And I'm like, what happened was when I moved to LA, I drove cross country. And I had a couple bucks in my pocket.
Well, what was the purpose of moving there? Was it? Well, I know why you moved there, but did you have a movie coming up, or did you have work that you were doing, or you were just like, "Fuck it, I'm going up there because there's gonna be more work"?
Well, it was planned. I had a movie lined up moving out there.
Yeah.
And tax credit was gone in New York and gone in New Jersey, so nothing was being filmed at that time. So I'm like, shit, I gotta go where there's work. I can't stay at the Jersey Shore anymore. There was nothing. So I think when I got around Arizona, my friend called me and he didn't sound right. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, you know, the funding got pulled, the movie's off. I'm like, oh, that's great, thanks. Cool, man. I'm gonna go punch a cow. I'm in Texas. I'm like, what am I gonna do? You know? So I just got out there and, you know, I sold everything. I sold clothes, everything, my whole setup. I sold my fucking, I had a 72 Buick Skylark for 10 years. I sold that. I sold everything. That's how committed I was to be like, I'm going to make it. So when I went out there.
Did you ever thought about turning around after that phone call? Or did you know?
After that phone call, no. When I was in LA, I thought about going home.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You get beat down, dude. You get beat down. But I went out there and I started booking work pretty quick. And I didn't know how to live like an actor. I didn't know how to do that. I was no one to blame. I just didn't. It's a different lifestyle. I didn't think about the work that goes into being an actor full time. So I actually made enough money to be an actor full time as soon as I moved to LA. Just enough, you know, cover my little apartment in Hollywood and this and that. But I had time. So when I wasn't working on a film or this or that, I started getting into producing because I produced a movie in Jersey before I left too. And I was like, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do this. So I started filling my time with all this stuff that really was not conducive for my acting career, even though, you know, at the time I thought it would benefit my acting career as well. But, you know, you get involved in production companies, they flop, they fail, you get involved in more, same thing, they fail, you're weeding through the fat. Hollywood is a land of bullshitters, man. So you got to weed through a lot of people. And, that was the path out there. So I learned to produce films out there, and I was progressing my acting career at the same time. And I got, you know, work. I got a job, you know, painting apartments and houses and stuff. And yeah, it was pretty humbling, man. I came from, you know, family-owned business, and I couldn't get a job for shit out there. So I remember the first thing I was doing was raking lawns in Hollywood Hills for $25 a fucking lawn.
Isn't it funny though when you go back to the skill set you had that, like, you know, was the trades that you learned, doing, you know, all the working class work, and you know what I mean, and having all that skill set, and then you don't realize at those times through all that years is you're like building a trade that you can have, and then when you go out somewhere else, if like you kind of have that as a safety net where it's like, all right, well, I can just go to, you know, I could do lawn work in LA, like, you know what I mean, but I think it's just important to even realize that skill set is worth something anywhere you go. Yeah. And then you can fall back on it.
Yeah. Thank God I had a trade. You know, I didn't have to really learn anything. I'm a drywall finisher by trade. I know how to hang drywall, and I learned to paint a little bit more out there and became a painter and a finisher as well. So I was able to get work, you know what I mean, with my hands. And yeah, it's a good thing I knew that stuff.
Was it a struggle going back and forth between the acting and then having to go do painting, and then, you know what I mean? Like, what was that like, having to deal with that?
It was rough, man. And I mean, I was a very good worker, but I was probably the worst employee because I had my phone in my ear the whole time while I was out rolling and shit. Because I didn't go there to paint. I went there to work as an actor, you know? And then a company would fall through, and then, oh God, I was delivering pizzas one time. I looked on Craigslist. I needed money. I was delivering pizzas in Canoga Park, and then that was a crazy story. I was delivering a pie one time in this really crappy area, and I went to the wrong house. I was like, shit. It was like 2 houses down, so I left my car. It was in the summertime, and I just walked down. I'm delivering pizzas, man, you know? Mad as hell. Mad as hell delivering pizza. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing, you know?
Yeah.
I come back
talking to yourself when you walk into the door.
Seriously,
the
dude.
last fucking time.
Oh, God. So I come back from delivering a pie. My car's down the street, and I look down the street, and I see a pair of legs sticking out of my window, and some dude was trying to, like, break in my car. And Oh man, I beat the shit out of this guy so bad.
I was gonna say.
So bad. That poor son of a bitch. Like he didn't even know it was coming. I had all this. I was so amped up from everything, and yeah, I quit the next day. Because it was a bad area. I figured if I drove my car in that neighborhood again, that wouldn't be too good. So.
No.
But yeah, that happened. It was a lot of shit.
Yeah, but I feel like that's important. I think sometimes when people get into stories and talk about stuff like that's real life.
Yeah.
Like you had to deliver pizzas while trying to get to this career and this dream that you're pushing towards.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people leave that shit out. Like, you know, like having to be a dishwasher or trying to do all this different stuff. It's like I made a post the other day about it was a memory on a timeline of when I was in that apartment up the street, and I was like, man, it's so funny seeing these memories because that was like the last month that I was in that apartment. And that's when I decided to move back in with my parents, live in their basement, and spend that money that I was spending on that to have a studio.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't have made that decision and all that real life annoying stuff of fighting with my parents again and having to get a full-time job and them looking at me, like they support what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But back then my dad's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you just get a factory job. Like just give up, do it, like keep your head down and work. And it's like those moments of like having to just completely sacrifice and eat giant shit sandwiches.
Yeah.
A lot of people leave out.
Yo, yeah. I ate a lot of shit sandwiches, man.
Yeah.
That was like Wednesday night. I think I actually, like the first 2 years I was out there, it was like Wednesday night was ramen night, man. I just had stacks of ramen because I knew I could eat dinner for like, 45 cents. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember, I'd call home a lot, and my brother worked with the family business, and my mom and dad, they're the best. I love them. They didn't realize what they were saying to me tugged at my heart so hard because they were always like, well, give it a go, Kev. And then, you can always come back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop telling me I can come back.
Yes.
I'm not coming back. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And that's what drove me nuts.
It did.
Because it was that, but it was also because it's that fire you got to succeed. But it's not the industry. It's different. It's not the industry that the more you put in, the more you get out in a tangible way, It isn't the harder you work, the better you do. The more focused you are, the farther you'll get. It's not like that. Sometimes it's who you know, who you meet, who knows you.
And that's got to be frustrating with you coming from a working class background of putting, digging ditches and doing the construction, because when you bust your ass at those jobs and you put it in, you're rewarded for that.
Exactly.
So it's very frustrating when you're trying to do something creative in a project and none of that shit matters. And you're like, I'm working twice as hard as everyone.
Yeah.
And then it's like, nope, this guy knows my buddy.
Yeah. But if you keep that, I did not falter with that discipline, man. I refused to, I went out there with it and I said, I'm not going to bend. I had my moments, man, and I was like, I should just pack this in. It's just not working, But then, you just kind of sleep it off and wake up the next morning and you're like, fuck me.
But those moments are also important because if you don't have those moments, you're unrealistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't have those times where you're sitting in the corner crying, being like, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't deal with this stress and pressure and like, the shit nobody sees. But it's like those real moments, I can tell you 4 of them. And I was like, man, like those were some gut checks. And like what you said, you get up in the morning and you shake it off and you're like, all right, let's come at this from a different angle.
Yeah.
Let's try and do this. And it's hard. It's hard to put those shoes back on. And a lot of times that's why I try to pick this out when talking to people to show other people, because there's a lot of people who wake up that next day and go back to working construction.
Yeah, man, it's true. And I just, I would not give up. And the odds are stacked, they were just stacked.
Especially in, how many people are going out there to do that?
Dude, I had 2 friends out there. I knew 2 people. 2. And
you're probably used to knowing everybody.
Yeah, I knew 2. And then another a girlfriend of mine who's an awesome actress. She moved out there, and I knew her, and then I ended up meeting my wife like 2 years later out there. But I didn't, and through business, through jobs and stuff, you make friends and everything. But I didn't go out there to party. I didn't go out there for girls. It was a total different mindset, and I refused adamantly to give up, man. I just refused.
How long did it take for you to land something that you believed was like sound enough to be like, okay, this is something I can work with. People are going to see this. Like this is going to starting, to get me going out here.
If I had to say it was like one specific project that did something, it was probably Bad Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it did good here, but it did really good foreign.
The trailer was super intense.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But I remember like seeing your body of work as it went along, and when I saw that, I was like, "Holy shit, man! Like this is some pretty serious stuff."
Shot that in Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came back from LA to shoot that, and yeah, that was great, man. That was that's what kind of did something. Now, granted, not financially. You know what I mean? It's not like all of a sudden pat in my pockets and I could sit back and this and that. The hustle still happens because when the movie's over, it's over. The movie's released, a year and a half later if you're lucky. So time goes on. As soon as that job is over, the life of an actor is, I don't know if people know this, but you are consistently unemployed. So having that fear of when's my next job, that's one of the more difficult things of being an actor is to be able to settle and to really just focus on believing in yourself and knowing that what you're doing is right, and then the work will come. If you meet it halfway, you got to do the work too, because there's more downtime. There's more time when you're not working than when you are. So everyone knows what it's like to lose your job, right? I mean, you lose your job, you're like, fuck. And they're just like, now what? And you're just scanning this and doing that and, interview. And like, oh my God, the money's going. That's my life.
Yeah. And if you don't have anything lined up next,
Yeah.
where it's going to fall like, okay, I get a month break and then we're
Sure.
going back into this, or
Sure.
you're into something where it's like seasons and your character's staying on for a while, stuff like that, you're really kind of at a loss.
Yeah.
Now, did you go through a lot of that out in LA where you're doing like quicker and small stuff? Because I mean, everything you just said obviously is life lessons you learned out there.
Sure. And I think a lot of people can understand what I'm talking about. It's, it's a different industry, but, we're humans and go through the same emotions with shit. Being an actor is it's actually part of being an actor, being able to steadfast and withstand. You have to, and then getting told, you're too this, you're too that, or people not liking how you look and fucking, I've been in the business 20 years and I'm still getting judged by how I look. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck you. I like, after a while, you're just like, whatever, you like me, you don't. But yeah, when you get these gigs and then they go away, that's why actors get paid pretty good, or at least you hope they do, because you're living off that shit. And once you make that transition to be full-time, the paychecks may get bigger, and then it's also like turning down work, man. I had oh boy, I had cancer 2 years ago, right? I just talked about this with Frankie and Roger, and I really didn't go public about it. It came out of nowhere. I till this day I don't understand how I had it, but I did. Who does, right? And during that time, I got about 5 offers for movies, and I had to turn every single one of them down. And I was like, how often do you get offers for movies? May not have been the best ones, but it was appreciated. You know what I mean? And the morning of, we got a call. We're laying in bed, Amanda and myself, my wife, and we got a call from the doctor, and they're like, so this and that, yada yada. I got a fucking phone call telling me I got cancer, and I was like, thanks, dude. And they're like, yeah, you have stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was like, non what? Like I didn't know anything about it. I was so far removed from it, and I was like, oh, okay. Now what, And like, oh, we have to start this and start that. I'm like, holy shit. So, hung up the phone. We were sitting there in bed, and Amanda was just like she saw a ghost. And I said, well, I got an audition to do, so you want to go do it? She's like, what, are you out of your mind? I said, well, I got an audition to do. It's work. So I did it. It was a movie out in London to play Tommy Mottola, Mariah Carey's husband, that big music mogul.
Yeah.
So I started chemo a couple weeks after. It was pretty heavy chemo. They caught it late, and then I think in the beginning of my second phase, my manager in London called me, and she's like, "Guess what?" And I said, "What?" And she goes, "You got the part. They want you." I was like, "Guess what?" And she said, "What?" And I said, "I got no eyebrows." I was like, "I can't fucking do it." I was like, oh God, I can't believe this happened. What are you gonna do, man? you know. And I think if I didn't have the path I had to give me that thick skin, that callus, you know, that reinforcement of you're going to be all right, you're going to get through it, you're going to move on, then I would have crumbled. You know, the business could crumble you, and especially going through that could crumble you too. At the end of the day, man, I don't want to talk too much about that shit, but I was just very fortunate. You know, they caught it, got through it, and back to normal pretty quick thereafter. And then I just moved on.
What a fucking crazy story.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
But you're saying that, like, you know, what we were getting into before, the sacrifice, the building, all the things that you did leading up to that made it so that wasn't a breakable moment.
No, I didn't break, man.
Yeah.
No way. I was in the hospital. I had, you know, somewhat of a decent stay in the hospital, and there was people like, unfortunately, there was people passing away on the floor I was in, and this and that, and I was like, I just had to get away from it. You know, I just couldn't deal with it. I had like, you know, that stand with all the tubes coming out and the port in my chest, and I look in the mirror and I still see this scar I got, and I'm like, you're not gonna fucking get me. You know what I mean?
It's crazy, for you, because I'm sure there's a lot more there, but like, it's crazy to go through all that, get that part, have all that stuff going on, and then be there with all this shit going on, and then seeing like people passing away and going through all that, but then at the same time being the type of person where you're just like, okay, cool, like that's just a part of my life, we're fucking way past that now, what are we doing next?
I wrote a movie while I was in the hospital.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I had to keep that focus. If I didn't have anything focused in front of me, and that's how I knew, man. I mean, like you're doing this, like, you know, it's not like you're forcing yourself to be interested in what you're doing. You just are.
Yeah.
Right? It drives you, it gets you out of bed. You're like, I'm on it, you know? And same thing over there. Whether I woke up in a hospital bed or I was home, you know, feeling the effects of the chemo, I'd get up, man. And at the beginning, I could do push-ups. After a few passes of chemo, you know, it takes its toll on you. But I just drove on, and I ended up writing a movie and laying out a whole production for it. And hopefully it'll be done sooner than later, this film. But that's what kept me going through it. I had something to focus on. I had that creative energy there, and it was like, you know, I see that light. I'm going to get through this. I just have to keep going.
It's kind of like ties back to what you said, and I don't know if it directly correlates with that, but a lot of what you're talking about, you know, I compare it to what goes on with this. And this is the only thing I've ever done in my life where, like, no matter what is going on around me, if I get in this lane, everything's okay.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, I mean, I started this when I quit drinking, and you know, I changed my entire life at the time, and like, so like, this was always the outlet that I got in, where, like, you know, I had that moment where I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like, I remember it vividly. I put the trademark of never again on a credit card. Like, I was like, thanks LegalZoom for ripping me off. I bought their horse shit. But like, that was that moment. And then it's like, you know, now it's like when I have you know, I lost my best friend, and like, when I lost my best friend, it's like, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because you're in a thing that you would never believe would happen to you. But then you have the comfort of, like, you know, when you said, I'm writing the movie, like, alls I did was I immediately was like, okay, you have to get back to work. Because this is what you love doing.
Yeah.
So, like, if you get in this lane and you start doing never again stuff, and you just take your time and you slowly start getting back in the podcast, everything else around you is going to level out, because this is the main thing that you love doing.
Right.
So it's like, when you said that you were writing that movie and everything, like, what an outlet that must have been to live in the thing that you couldn't do because you can't go to acting, and you couldn't do the Mariah Carey thing, but you can do the passion of it by writing it. And, you know, that must have been able to help you get through that so much.
Yeah, man, I was obsessed. I was obsessed in the hospital.
You were probably just writing nonstop.
I was an animal, dude. I never. I never.
Nurse, more paper, more paper. Can I get a decent pen around here?
Getting mad at everyone, pushing them away. You don't understand.
I need to work. You're just turning this bougie Hollywood guy.
I got big sunglasses on in the hospital, smoking. Oh man, yeah.
You have a better robe than everyone else.
Yeah. I just wouldn't give into it. I never wore a hospital gown once. I just couldn't do it. I wore my regular clothes. I ripped the shirts a little bit so the wires can come out of it, and the tubes and everything. And I was like, I just can't succumb to it. You know?
Yeah.
I can't. And I came close, dude. They caught it late. I could have bit it. We talked to the doctors afterwards because everything is about positivity and whatnot when you're going through that kind of shit. And my wife, she pit bulls for me, man, like most good wives, And she said, the doctor, she's like, once I was done and free and clear and remission, she said, how bad was it? Like, you could tell us the truth now. Like, how bad was it? And I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the bone marrow of my femur bone. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. They said I had a hairline fracture for years that never healed. And I kept injuring it, and that was that. So the doctor said, she said, if you didn't come in when you did, she said you probably would have had a couple months right there. She said you probably would have had four weeks around there. If you came in after 4 weeks, she said it was too far along. There probably wouldn't have been anything we could have done for you.
It's so crazy how timing and like that shit works.
Yeah.
It's weird. Mm-hmm. So what'd you do at that point? I mean, I'm guessing you kind of probably reflected on what was going. I'm sure there was a rocky story of getting your health back, but then now you're back on your feet, and after that, it's like, did that change you as to what you wanted? You probably had a lot of time to think. I mean, did you hone in your skills of where you wanted to do, or is it like, you're super passionate about this movie because it's what you wrote?
Yeah.
During that time,
and other movies too. After that, you know what happened, dude? I didn't get down. I got pissed. Yeah. I got fucking mad. I was so mad. Not at myself, just the situation. I was mad. And I channeled it. I used it. I came back and I wasn't ever scared. I wasn't down. I just had something tell me. I was like, it's not your time. I went through war, man. I knew my card wasn't pulled there. And I was like, it's not going to get pulled now. And I just kind of channeled everything into whatever creative outlet was there for me at the time, which was writing and setting up a production. And when I came home, I could barely walk down the driveway without, huffing and puffing, and just kept pushing. And after a while, I get my wind a little bit, so I'd start working out a little more. And then I started working out like a motherfucker, and I was getting injured like crazy, man.
From exercising too much?
Crazy. I can go down a list. It's not even want to waste your time with it, of all the injuries I had. Like tear this, pulled that, tear this, torn labrum, tendonitis, tendinosis, popped my rib, pulled, like all these crazy things. And I had to do normal doctor checkups, and I was like, what is going on? And she's like, you're a maniac. She's like, your tendons and your ligaments are not healed yet. You just went through like this heavy chemo. I was like, well, why didn't you say that before? I was like, I'm hurting, I'm limping, this and that, and my God. So little by little, it takes time, but that too, just the focus of trying to stay healthy. That I had to stay diligent with that, work through injuries and try to stay healthy, and just that forward progression, And what happened actually, dude, was so this show I got called City on the Hill. It's on Showtime. My wife was on the first season. She was a series regular, right? She was great in it. And I was still kind of like, I was out of the hospital and everything, but I was like healing. Like my hair was still growing in, like it was patchy and shit. And I got a random audition for it, right? For the show. I had a manager, and I had an audition. And I went and auditioned for it, yada yada. And they ended up giving me like a small role in the first season. So like 4 episodes, I dip in for like one line here, one line here. Dude, talk about being like self-conscious. I mean, I had patches, bald spots on my head because my hair wasn't growing in, like half my eyebrow here, So I'm like, oh God. So I was home putting makeup on my face a little bit, or my head. Because, then you go to the makeup trailer, and I'm like, can you just patch that a little bit over there? And they're like, yeah, and, it was pretty humbling, man. Pretty humbling, It wasn't like, a local indie film where no one was around. I was going to be on network TV and all that stuff. But did it, started booking more work again. And then, knock on wood, man, the executives called me for the second season. And they wrote me in, and Chuck McClane created the series. And he just did an awesome job, man. And I know he had a lot to do with it. And he wrote my character in from just being there in the first season to the second season actually being like a part of the storyline.
What's that feel like to be, I mean, to build your career all the way up to here, and you're doing all this different acting, and you have all this personal stuff going on, and now you're written into a serious television program. I mean, Kevin Bacon's on it, correct?
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Like it's real deal stuff. And then for you to come on a little bit, and then your acting shows to the point where they're like, hey, why don't we, I'm, you know, obviously making this up. I'm pretending this is what happened. But,
Go ahead, pretend.
Yeah, but we like to call this fake business. A little Tim Dillon. But like, you know, that they're like, hey, why don't we bring this over? And then, you know, I don't think that they would make those decisions if you came on there for those little parts and you sucked at what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, that was, I mean, how can you not be grateful about that? You know what I mean? That's like, you hear about, you go through that and you're like, wow. I guess someone's watching. I guess someone's noticing, you know? And
Yeah, because that's a lot of work up into that moment of getting, what was it, a call you got?
Yeah.
What's that like? How does that phone call end? You yell?
Yeah, it's more just like a shock, man, you know? But it's an affirmation too that, you know, staying the course and living the life that you're supposed to live, and the work ethic and everything, it pays off. It's well, you can attest to this. Isn't it weird how hard work pays off in ways that you don't even fucking expect?
Yeah, or see half the time because you're just too busy working.
Yeah, and you're going doon towards like this one laser focused thing, work, and it's not getting there, and you step back and you're like, God damn it, and all of a sudden your phone rings like, hey, how's about this? I'm like, okay. You know, and it's just these doors open, you know, if you're open to them and you're ready. That's the big thing of being an actor. You just got to be ready.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I was ready, and by the second season, I'm happy to say all my hair grew back.
Yeah,
and all that shit, and that's it. Just went up from there again. Yeah, I got some films lined up again, and you know, COVID threw a little wrench and stuff, but I ended up writing 2 more screenplays during COVID, just to keep going, and now both of them are going to be getting produced this year.
It's crazy because all the moments leading up to getting that part all had to deal with like, you had to beat the shit out of that guy. You know what I mean? You had to go through your cancer. You know what I mean? Like, you get to a point where it just, you kind of just like, what are they, like iron sharpens iron type thing, where it's like you get to that moment and it's like, that's the hard work. It's putting up with the bullshit of real life, putting up with relationships. It's carrying all that crap while you're laser focused. And then when you're there, like you said, it's like you've been ready the whole time, but what made you ready was sitting there in that hospital, not putting your gown on and writing, and like, you know, going through all this shit to the point where like you've had enough, where like you're like, no, like I'm not going to not believe in myself anymore. Like, no, I can hold my own with everybody else here, and I'm going to show you I'm a fucking actor. And that's got to be fucking crazy for you to walk through that after everything you've been through.
Yeah, it was an intense kind of feeling when it happened. Yeah. I tend not to get excited about certain things in the acting industry because the highs are high. But the lows are so low.
It's a cool moment, though.
Yeah, so I tended to more like, just, you know, not voluntarily, but I just kind of mellowed out. I don't go crazy with the highs, and I don't fall to the lows anymore. But yeah, when that happened, it was it felt good.
It's important you brought that up too, because I think there's a learning curve over the years where you stop getting too excited for projects because you're realistic about it. Where like, you know, like I used to get so excited to put out a t-shirt and then like 2 people buy it. And I'm like, fuck. And it's like, then I'll put something out and be like, whatever, I just got to get this out. And then a bunch of people buy it.
Yeah.
But like in there now, it's like you kind of catch yourself and you're like, whoa, let's not go too far over there. Or like what you said is also important, because you know, there's a lot of shit you went through where you can fall into depression. There's all kinds of crazy shit like that. So if you let your lows be too low, you start fucking up, not going to the gym, doing stupid shit, not staying on top of your acting, not writing, and keeping the things that sharpen you to get your skill set. I mean, it's very difficult to, you said it so nonchalantly, but like it is very difficult to not yeah, I did it. Because like what you said, you're driving out to LA and you're in Arizona and they're telling you it's fucking canceled. That car ride sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't that pleasant. And then I got to LA and I'm like, this is LA? I'm like, what the fuck
Now
is
I have
this?
to paint houses?
Oh
I was
my
doing that in
God.
Jersey.
Yeah, man. You just you find that balance. I think life just has a way of teaching you if you're open and receptive to certain things that come your way, and you got to pick up on that shit, right? And you're like, okay, I learned that lesson. So there's been so many times with my career too, because I came up in independent film. I dabbled through TV through the years, you know. I had spots.
Yeah.
I had spots, but independent film was everything to me. It satisfied something in me, like that creative, that rawness, that urge I had, we were talking about earlier. So I gravitated towards it because it was accessible. Studio films were not accessible for me for a very long time. And doing independent film, an independent film essentially is a business. Every movie, I don't know if people know this, but every single movie has its own LLC for the movie. Usually at the end of the credits, you always see like, if a movie's called, Cold Bitch, it'll be like Cold Bitch LLC, you know?
That's a good movie.
What the fuck is
I can't believe you released the title to the film you wrote
No,
in the hospital.
Horrible Nurses LLC. No, they were wonderful actually. Great people there. But you get cast for this, these parts, and then you start your preparation. Like this one I'm doing in Minnesota takes place in Alabama. We start August 23rd. So I've been working on that.
Now, what's that project?
Oh man, it's called The Convict's Daughter. Briefly, it's about a young girl that kills her boyfriend in a fit of rage, and she goes on the run from the law. And I play the father of that young boy. And when the law can't find her, I decide that once my wife passes away, that all hell breaks loose and all bets are off, and I'm going to find this girl on my own. It's a romantic comedy, in case you were wondering. But that takes place in Alabama, so, I've been working on my accent, getting it down, doing all these things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's months. And I've been in this position before, too. And I know we're going to be good. I know the director, he's a wonderful dude. But I've been in this position before where I worked for months. And then the plug gets pulled a week before you shoot. I've gained, one time I had to gain 25 pounds in 3 weeks. And I'm not really good at gaining weight. And that was crazy. A lot of ice cream. That was fun. But the day before I was actually packing my bags to take the flight, I got an email saying the investor backed out. Like these things happen. You shoot movies halfway through, they get pulled. Who gets fired? Like all these things happen. So for me, like I was saying before, it's also about being not just what I get out of it creatively, but it's also about knowing that my energy, my work, my heart that's going into something is going to be in something bigger that's going to be able to move people. So you have to hope that, the stars line up a little bit. Because at the end of the day, you're an actor, you're a spoke in the wheel. There's so many moving parts making a film, as you know, right? And there's a lot of letdowns with that too. So, as you're staying in the business longer, you tend to have access to bigger projects. But things happen, man. It's how it goes. So
How long did it take to learn how to curve that? Packing your bags to leave, and like that's got to be so hard to continue doing, because it's like, man, I mean, I don't know, because not really, because I failed this entire time all the way up to here.
did you
Not fail, but
I get you.
but like there's been so many times where I should have given up.
Yeah.
And like I look at things sometimes and I'm like, okay, well, I'm here, but I know 90% of the people that I know would have not continued this far.
Yeah.
It would have been too hard for them to keep having the door be shut in their face.
Yeah, without a doubt. You got to have that tenacity, man.
Where do you think that came from you? How you grew up? Just the military? Like, what was it that kind of makes you, that you can just kind of, you're not going to stop?
My father made drill sergeants look like kindergartners, man. Yeah, I got everything from being in the business. We worked hard, like you said before, digging ditches and stuff.
Yeah, work ethic.
Yeah, there was times when I was living in New Jersey where it was tough when the tax credit still was in New York, and I can go to New York and audition and stuff. There was times I bailed on auditions because my dad had to work that day, and I didn't want to leave him. For a period of time, it was just me and him. Then the business got bigger, but you know, we were both humping, and it was like whatever. There was times where we'd be digging foundations by hand in people's backyards because we couldn't fit tractors, because we did additions and whatnot as well. And we'd be digging by hand for weeks, you know, and I'm like, I'm not going to ditch my old man today just to go on a fucking audition. So I'd stay and dig, you know, and I got from him, like, I just saw, like, you know, put your head down and work and just go and just go. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is something at the other side of things. There is. And what I learned from him too, because he's just a great man, he always said, like, learn from my mistakes. He was open with me, my dad. He exposed me to a lot when I was young. Construction business, there's a lot of dirt bags and stuff, you know. So at a young age, I caught on to that element of people pretty quick. But I learned to keep my head up and dig, you know, just keep looking around and knowing what's in front of me and whatnot. And yeah, I got that all from him.
Yeah.
Plain as day, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you got coming up now? Because I think we were talking before, you're doing stuff in Germany.
Bad Frank popped in Germany. So randomly this dude.
Before you get into that, how weird is it having a film, and then I'm sure it's bizarre to get feedback from another country? Like, what was that like when you first were being released in other countries, and then kind of getting like fan bases of people in Germany? And I mean, even with like the analytics of this, where I see people in another state listening, I'm like, what? Like,
you're in Missouri?
How are you listening to this? People tune in, but like, that's got to be bizarre where they're like, hey, the numbers are through the roof in Japan. You got a fan base over there. What?
Yeah. And what the weirdest feeling is on Instagram, some people reach out to me on Instagram or would follow me and whatnot. And, you know, I'll dabble on there and look every now and then and go through the notifications, and everything's in Arabic. And I'm like, how the fuck, like, where'd this movie go? Because the movies get pirated a lot too, man. I know Bad Frank, they caught it on YouTube. Someone pirated it. It had 240,000 views on YouTube.
That's crazy.
In Arabic, before they caught it and shut it down. You know, like, the pirated stuff just goes. Needless to say, I didn't make money off those views. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a weird feeling, isn't it? I guess it's kind of cool if I move someone out there and they got subtitles and they liked it, then great. You know. So randomly, this wonderful guy, Rob, he reached out to me. He saw it, and he ended up co-producing a couple movies prior. And he said, you know, I'd love to work with you sometime. Do you have any scripts or this or that? So a good friend of mine, John Fallon, I don't know if you ever heard of JoeBlow.com. It's that big movie review site. And Arrow in the Head is I guess, like the sister review site. It covers all horror. So John he's one of the founders of Joe Blow, and he runs Arrow in the Head. We wrote a script together called Break. And it's a wild ride, man. Wild. In the horror genre, but it's just...
Are you big into horror?
No. I'm big into whatever's good.
Yeah.
You know? I like horrors. I like this, like that. So we ended up writing something that fits in that genre. And we sent this guy, Robert, the script, and he went for it. And they're going to make it in Germany.
That's crazy.
Yeah, COVID threw a loop in that. So, you know, we're just waiting it out. They're pretty still in lockdown over there.
How did COVID affect everything what you had going on? Did you have gigs that were put on hold, or?
Yeah, I did. Things got pushed back, but then I just kind of transferred my energy to writing and setting up productions. And
yeah,
there's 2 films I'm going to be doing now that I put together. So, yeah.
What's it like? So now when you go to do that, you're going to film and do everything in Germany? Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Have you done stuff overseas and did big projects like that is that going to be a long period of time you're over there?
No, it should be maybe a 3-week shoot, but I'll be there for maybe hopefully like a week or 2 before, just to kind of get.
Yeah.
I hate going to a set and it's like you're just jumping in like right then and there, you know. So I'll get a little acclimated. I did a movie in London a couple years ago. That was great. I had a good time doing that. That was fun.
That's got to be some of the perks where you get to kind of...
That is the perk, brother.
Yeah.
Like look at Nacho Mountain, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, here's this funny fucking movie. Like, I crack up thinking about it, and you know, it didn't blow up or anything like that. But part of the experience, part of the lifestyle is like these friends that you kind of make. You know what I mean? I haven't seen you in years, dude. And we're talking like we just had a beer yesterday. And,
Yeah.
and it's like, that's part of the business that I absolutely love. It's the other part. It's like, if someone says to me, Kev, what'd you do in 2008? I don't think about who got married or some kind of something I did. I'm like, oh, I was in this movie and I was in that movie. Like, that's how I equate to years, because these are milestones in my life. So I always think about any project that I was in. My heart goes into everything. And then I remember the people that were on it, and you make good friendships, man,
Yeah. It's gotta be cool to push yourself this far to where you're living off of acting, and now you're taking your skill that's been honed this whole time, and you're just kind of like now just really diving in full force into all these things that you wanted to be years ago, to where now you're working on a series that like your acting got the character brought in, and then you're over here writing when there's downtime, and then because you're writing during the downtime of COVID, now you have this horror thing that you're working on a guy in Germany, and then and it's like it goes back to what you said, where I love seeing like multiple projects going on at the same time, because you have to do that, because you can't be like, cool, I'm gonna do the Germany thing and then I don't have work, and then we'll see what goes on after that.
Yeah.
So it probably plays into kind of how you're built as a person, to just kind of like work, and then when you take all these things that you're creative and passionate about and dump them into all these different avenues that like drive and move you forward, it's got to feel incredible at this point to be doing what you want to do and love.
It does, man. It's pretty empowering, like yourself, right? I come down here, man, you got the t-shirts going on, you got all this stuff, and it's like, wow, you're putting energy into all these things, and it's like, and you can see the effort, and it satisfies you and fulfills you. And if it doesn't fulfill me, I really just can't put my energy into that.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying earlier, I moved away from it, but when we moved back to New Jersey from LA, because the tax credit came back to New York, tax credit was coming back to New Jersey. So we came back. Amanda got City on a Hill, which ended up shooting in New York, which was great. It wasn't in Boston, so we could just commute. I wanted to work again, like work with my hands. And she was like, no. She's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. I'm like, but I have downtime. She's like, put it into the business. Put it into the business. I was fucking mad. I'm like, come on. But she was right. She was right. Because if I put my energy into something else, then it'd be pulling energy from this, And she was right, and I had to like refocus, everything, you get married up, get a house, get a kid, this and that, and it's like the financial responsibility of things starts weighing on you as a man, and all those things come into play. But you just buckle down, man, and really just bet on yourself and know you're giving your all. And like I said before, if you keep going, someone or something up there will provide, but you got to meet them halfway, So that's where, I think that's what kind of helped me align things up, So the grind never stops. I hate using the word struggle, because it's just fucking work, dude. I love hard work. I don't mind it at all. So I don't look at it as a grind or a struggle as much as just like, a diligent work ethic. And yeah, sometimes it's hard. Fuck it, whatever. I'm not going home with a beat up back every day like I used to when I was like,
Yeah, because if you were doing construction, you would be putting this much time, energy, and effort into that.
Yeah.
And it would be just as hard, except for it would be different stresses. It'd be different things going on in your life. And what was built from you, from your working class, and all this stuff that's built up, that doesn't change. Mm-hmm. So you could take this version of Kevin and put it into any scenario, and you're going to be having that much work on your plate just because that's what you do.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a point where you just accept it and be like, look, like this is how we're going to work. This is how we're going to do things, and we're just going to focus these energies. And I think it's also important that you brought up that you did transition to focusing on that, because if you lose sight of what you're really working on, it will take away from it, and you have energy going in, and then you're not putting 100% into your acting, and you're not putting 100% into this passion, where sometimes it's maybe not fulfilling and scratching the itch that it does all the time, but you need to stay in there because it's the best thing that's about you.
Yeah, you nailed it right in the head there, man. You nailed it. And as well, running that business, it's like you come across things sometimes that are like, you know, you're not the most favorable elements of your business that you want to deal with.
No.
But you gotta fucking do it.
There's a ton of them.
Right? You just got to do it. And who the hell am I to complain about something? I am living the life I want to live.
Yeah. And it's sometimes hard to turn that switch off with the stress and the nonsense, because then when the life that you want to live becomes work, sometimes the feeling of work isn't what job you have. It's just a feeling of work. You can put it into anything.
Sure, dude.
Because I told somebody the other day about the podcasting. I'm like, dude, sometimes this is work. I love doing this, but like getting up into getting here, and then like it takes a little bit to get going, and then I relax, and then I'm free.
Right.
But to get up there, it's fucking work.
Right.
It's like I've been up since 6. I worked all goddamn day. I prepped for the pop-up I got tomorrow. I got another podcast in the morning, and like that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
But then to let that all go is why I do this, because you do let go. I'm not thinking about anything other than picturing the story you're telling, and I'm escaping and going on the journey with you, and I'm trying to tell that through the listeners. Like, that's my escape.
Yeah.
But to get to this escape is not fucking easy. It's not turning all the lights on and being like, well, okay. Like, there's a shit ton of stuff to get through to get there. And if you stop losing focus and you start playing around in different areas, it turns into different things.
Oh, yeah, man. And it's not like, I mean, if anything, doing construction, even though it was a family business, I mean, I thought I worked hard then. I thought I worked hard then. I didn't know what it was like to wake up and go to bed with your business.
Yeah.
I put in my
totally
9 hours.
Different.
I put in my 9 hours and busted my ass, you know, every day. Longer than 9 hours because it was family business, you know. But I didn't know what it was like for my dad until I did this.
Yeah.
Because he went to bed with it and he woke up with it.
Yeah, and when you're that 9 to 5, you have weekends.
Fuck yeah. I mean, you may be getting that paycheck, but I'll tell you what, dude, I remember what it was like waking up for years. Like, my alarm clock would go off, I'd hit that goddamn thing 5 times, and then I'd, you know, go on the edge of my bed and I'd just be like, oh, fuck. You know? I haven't woke up like that since I took the drive to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Those Sundays changed.
Yeah.
Sundays changed. Because I remember being hungover, having a factory job, and dreading the amount of horse shit that was coming. Now it's like, I'll get over there to that dry erase board, and I'll start writing out the different things of how we're going to tackle the week. I might get into a couple emails, because then my Monday's light, and if my Monday's light, somebody might be able to stop by for coffee here. And there's a lot of freedom in doing your own thing, but if you plan it correctly and focus on it, it is very fulfilling. But at the same time, my Sundays, my days aren't days anymore. I didn't realize today was Friday until my friend texted me that like he was going over to Moser's, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, it's Friday.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what days are anymore.
Yeah, same here, man.
It's not like, but I mean, I could tell you how I would feel waking up on a Wednesday knowing that I know, all right, 2 more days. You remember that? Like driving to work and being like, we got 2 more days, man. Just suck it up. Just hammering cigarettes on the way in. Just being like, 2 more days.
Yeah. And I remember what it was like, you know, once 4 or 5 o'clock came around on a Friday. It was like, yes, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to the bar. I'm getting ripped. You know, he was like, yes, I'm out. You know, and then Saturday, you have a good old time. You go Saturday night, and then Sunday, you're nursing that hangover Sunday morning, and you're like, oh, this is great. Football's on, this and that, but clock's ticking, and I got work tomorrow.
it was like the same feeling you had when you knew you had to go back to school.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, dude. That feeling, going through it myself. Because I was far from born with a silver spoon in my mouth. That's what I do for.
Yeah.
Because I was that guy too. And that's what I do this shit for, man. It's for that guy, that gal, whether you're swinging a hammer or pushing a pen. And you know, that's hard work too, man. You know, you got to pump it out, drive to work, an hour each way, this and that. I mean, it's tough. It's that grind. And if there are people out there that still find a release in some kind of entertainment in film and TV, and I could be involved in that, and I could facilitate that, I could bring my talents to that, and move someone or shake them up so they're not thinking about that shit day they had. Oh man, that's a better feeling than fucking like you know, getting the big phone call like, hey, I did it. If someone says to me, man, I saw that movie, and oh god, I was talking about it with my boy and this and that, and it was, you know, it was great, and I remember this and I remember that part and this part. I'm like, I'm fucking floored. It's the most, I'm fucking floored. It's just the most wonderful thing to hear. Rather than my own personal, if you want to call it accomplishment or something. that's nice.
Yeah, because you're not even looking at them as accomplishments.
No, I want you to call me up and be like, Kev, I just saw this movie you're in. And fuck what I did. Like, the movie you're in was great. That makes me feel good too, because I earned my way into that movie, and and you enjoyed the movie, So that's the satisfaction. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, man. Yeah.
I don't know a better way to close the show out. I can't thank you enough for coming on. You're a busy man. You didn't have to drive up here. You did it because you wanted to come up here. I didn't know. I watched your career. I watched your progression. And then when we started talking on the phone, I was so excited to have this conversation because it completely clicked with just like understanding your work ethic and, and understanding like the amount of hard work you put into, and you're just very honest and real. And I don't know if that's New Jersey or if that's just how you are as a person or whatnot. But I can't thank you. Like, it meant a lot for you to come up here. The stories that we had before this, after this, and then just telling your story here in a little bit that you brushed on like it was no big deal, that you got through all the stuff you did. It's humbling to listen to. It was really great to just see somebody come up here and do a movie with my friends, and then now they're working on these massive projects, and then not seeing you stop was motivating while I was working on stuff, and just seeing you constantly push it. It's hard. It's hard to keep doing stuff. It's hard to keep doing stuff when doors shut in your face, but following somebody who you met years ago, and then, the guys would text to him and be like, "Yo, did you see what Kevin's doing?" Like,
oh, no shit.
You know what I mean? And they're always rooting for you, and I wish they could have been here tonight.
Yeah.
But like I said, I want to thank you for coming on. I want you to be able to plug anything that you have coming up, your social media, anything like that you would want to do right now.
Geez. Okay. My social media is at the Kevin Intro. I'm doing a film called The Convict's Daughter in Minnesota, and that'll be in August. And hopefully in October, I'll be doing a film called Blood Brothers, which is a gangster piece about two brothers that pulled the wrong shit one night on a drug deal, and it just could change the course of their lives forever. And then another movie called The Bastard Sons that I wrote, I'm starting to, and that is about a family of brothers that come together to go against their own family after the assassination of their father.
Got some heavy stuff coming out, man.
A lot of romantic comedies, dude. a lot of lighthearted stuff. Yeah.
I want to close out with doing one final thing, and sometimes we do different things with that.
What's up?
But I would want you to do a monologue. You're an actor. I'd like to see it in real person. I just figured I'd throw it at you to see if, I'd like to put your acting to some tests, get your chops going.
So what about the test here, man? Really?
Yeah.
I haven't done I've done a monologue like 10 years.
Well,
oh, Jesus. I have to think about it. Oh, all right. I'll do a monologue. Honestly, God, you want to do a monologue?
Yep.
Okay. I haven't done this in like 10 years, dude. I don't even. Oh, God. This is weird. Well, I got a call last week, and I didn't know how to react. I started laughing. I didn't think I'd ever have that kind of reaction, but I did. You don't think about these moments. My brother called me, told me my dad died. I started thinking about when I was a kid, all this crazy shit we went through, me and my brother. My dad was always just, he was a Mason. He had like big hands and whatnot. He's a real hardcore kind of guy. And we were always getting into trouble, whether we were throwing rocks at his truck or, God, one time I remember he got us this little fire truck. We were taking turns riding it. And my brother got into the plaster of Paris one time and started plastering this red fire truck. And my dad came home from work and saw it in the driveway, and it was stuck to the driveway, and we had shit all over the driveway and ourselves. And oh man, we caught a beating for that one. We caught a good one. It just got me thinking. Oh, man. There was another time I was in the kitchen and my father was a routine guy. You know, woke up in the morning early, had his coffee, went to work, and I was in the kitchen with my mother, and she was a great gal. And I was playing around with his favorite mug, and she was like, don't play with it, don't play with it. And he was home that day. Don't play with it. And sure enough, I'm playing with it, whipping around, it breaks, right? And as soon as it breaks, I just take off because I know I'm going to get hit. So I go booking down the hallway, and sure enough, there's my dad right on my heels, and oh man, he wailed me good. I think I was like 7 or 8, something like that. And my mother, she came down the hall running after him, and you know, yelling at him to stop. And he turned around and he hit her. And she was small. She was so tiny and cute, my mother. And he hit her in the mouth, and when he did it, he knocked all her teeth out. Anyway, when I got that call from my brother that he died, I laughed. I just laughed. And scene.
That was awesome.
Was it?
Unless the story was true, and I feel terrible for you.
No, it wasn't true.
That was good, man.
I come to a podcast to cry. That's why I came
Yeah.
here. Go to hell, Michael. Why are you putting me through that? It's all about the torture. You're like, you're leading me up. You're like, oh, I'm so glad you came out here. This is great. By the way, I want you to cry, you son of a bitch. I want to see you in pain. Oh, man.
I'm impressed more and more with you. I'm impressed with what you do. That was fantastic. Thank you for setting the bar on the show. If you're a first-time listener, watcher, whatever, you can go to neveragainstudio.com. That has everything Never Again on it. If you're a new business and you're looking to get help, we help small business. We have everything over at neveragainstudio.com. You can check out all the different things over there. We also just launched Nazo Ammo. We are running an ammunitions company now through here, and we have all of that information on nazoammo.com. Anything you need to get a hold of us, neveragainstudio.com. Thank you again. I appreciate it, man.
Hey,
you didn't have to come up here, and I appreciate that you did.
Dude. It was wonderful seeing you. Thanks again.
Yeah, man. And anything you ever want to work on, you want to promote, you ever want to do projects, when we get in the new studio, you want to come up and we'll cook.
Yeah.
Would love to grow with you, man. It's really cool that you did this. It's even cooler to see the entire thing come full circle from when we met is when this started, and then now this is where it's at. So
thank you, Michael, and you're discrediting yourself a little bit because you came a long way too, man. So
I
it's
appreciate
wonderful
it.
to
I
see.
appreciate
Really
it. My
wonderful to
therapist
see.
says the same thing.
Does he make you cry? And that's why you want to make me cry? Is that how it goes?
Full circles.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.